My name is Curt Anderson. Happy Tuesday. What an honor, privilege. Man, I'm just so excited for our program today. And I'm going to, as I'm letting people in, I'm going to give introductions. And so, you know what? I'm going to go to the left coast first, and then we'll work our way east. And so, Allison DeFord, drop the mic. Good morning to you, my friend. How are you, Allison?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So Allison, president of Felt Marketing. We're going to get, what a great name. So Felt Marketing, she's got this little thing, if you notice behind her, Manufacturing Masters. That's a big thing that we're going to talk about today. Allison, love you, sister. Thank you for joining us today. Appreciate you more than you know. Hey, I'm going to move up to Madison, Wisconsin. David Mante's in the house. David, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Doing great, Curt. It's good to see you again.
Awesome. So, hey, industrial equipment news, manufacturing.net, whole family of brands. David has a lot that he's going to be sharing today. So, David, dear longtime friend, we love collaborating with you. It's been way too long. So, thank you for joining us. A lot to cover. Let's move on over to the East Coast. We're in DC, the capital of our beloved country. Nicole Donnelly is in the house. Nicole, president of DMG Digital. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm happy to be here. This is going to be such a great conversation. It's awesome. Love it.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. So guys, if you could, if you would, if you should, drop your LinkedIn profile in the chat box. This is a great opportunity for us to connect. Hey, Inger's in the house today. So Inger, good morning. And so thank you guys for everybody that's joining. I think, hey, Whitney Houston's here today. So Whitney, we might be singing our song for Whitney. We've got a couple more people. So guys, drop your LinkedIn, drop your website, whatever best way. I think most of us are probably connected through LinkedIn one way or another. So please drop your LinkedIn in the chat. Let's get connected. And so Allison, I'm going to kick things off with you, my friend. Let's talk. We're talking about thought leadership. And so just what does that mean to you, thought leadership? And then we'll take a deeper dive, but just kind of thought leadership and scratch the surface on Manufacturing Masters, if you would, please.
Sure. I was thinking about this and I put out a post yesterday to invite people to show up for this. And I said, we've spent years trying to outsell the competition. And I said, I thought of Bob Newhart from that famous SNL skit. And he's like, stop it. We don't need to outsell. We need to out-teach. And I think that's the importance of thought leadership, is that we have such a great opportunity to give and demonstrate, right, our expertise and problem solving and fill in the blank before you ever work with us, whoever we, the manufacturer, are. So I think that's what shifted. And I think it's really amazing because I see it at work. That is what this is today, right? This is thought leadership. This is, as you and Greg Michio talk about all the time, like you, know you, and trust you before I ever say yes. Mm-hmm. And so to me, that's what thought leadership is. It's showing up, it's being consistent, it's putting yourself out there and giving before you ask for anything. And that's what we do. Manufacturing Masters was built by a manufacturer, launched a year ago in January, and it is the place to go if you want to access trainings, education, know-how from the world's best manufacturing experts. And the cool thing is it's like Netflix, right? It's on demand, so you can consume it. I joke about this, but hey, we all know it's true. If you're on the toilet, you can be learning something. If you're sitting at the lunch table, you can be learning something, right? Everybody's laughing. We all know. So you have access whenever it's good for you, because sometimes that's the only time of day where you feel like you have 5 minutes, right? So you might as well make the most of it. And so right now there's over 130 experts. There's over 500 videos. And the neat thing that Darren Mitchell wanted in this platform is that there's no fluff. So every expert is coached, is vetted, is trusted. And you can rest assured that if you spend 5 to 7 minutes watching a video, you're going to walk away with something that'll help you grow your business.
Perfect. Okay. Man, a couple of drop the mics right there, right off the band. You're just like David Manti. That was, or I'm sorry, David Chrysler. That was like music to your ears. Like Mr. Efficiency was like, yes, take advantage of every minute that you have. And so, guys, hey, Derek Davis, DD in Chicago's here. Val, our dear friend, beloved Val, is here today. So, Megan, thank you for joining us. And Allison, Nicole, Bonnie is here today. So, like, man, we really did something right.
Aw,
Bonnie is here.
thank you.
So again, guys, if you just joined us, drop your LinkedIn in the chat box. Love to connect. David Manti, Madison, Wisconsin, manufacturing.net, industrial equipment news, my friend, thought leadership. What does that mean for manufacturers? Boy, you guys are just the driving force behind this. What's this mean to us?
Well, business to business platforms, trade journals were built by professionals for professionals. And so our entire, how we operate is we're trying to figure out how you do your job better, and we can teach everybody else how to do their job better. I think that she made a really good point about being consistent. Consistency is a big part of what we do. That's why we reach our readers every day with a daily newsletter that's very informative, best practices. And a lot of that is finding people from within the industry that are not necessarily thinking of themselves as thought leaders, but have a tremendous amount of tribal knowledge that they can share with everybody, but they don't necessarily know how. A lot of times people think that, they have to write an article in order to be a contributor to a trade publication. Sometimes it could be as simple as just a quick Q&A. And I think that getting the message out there as to how manufacturers, design engineering firms can be a part of that conversation and get themselves out there as a thought leader, it really puts themselves out in the industry a little bit more than they traditionally would.
Mm-hmm. All right. Excellent. Thank you, David. I appreciate it. Nicole, let's slide over to you, my friend. Thought leadership, manufacturing. As we go through the program, we're going to talk about subject matter expert interviews. But just when you first heard this, when I said, hey, we're going to have a little thought leadership party, what came to your mind for our friends here today in our esteemed audience?
I think this is more important than ever right now. I think we're in a period of incredible disruption with what's happening with AI and the incredible efficiencies and opportunities that are in front of us with resources like generative text AI and image AI is remarkably huge, but the risks, there's opportunities and there's risks. And the risks are we're starting to see an influx of just derivative generic content that's just going to continue to increase and proliferate over time. It's already hard for brands and businesses to stand out right now because of how much content there is. And I think that problem's only going to get harder. And so thought leadership is more critical and more important for brands than I think it ever has been. And I think the key to that is authenticity. You've got to be authentic as a brand. And what does that look like? That means that in your content, you've got to not be afraid to have a strong point of view. I have a client right now that sells, they sell dust collection, equipment and parts. And they have a very strong point of view that they are brand agnostic. They're not going to push an OEM part or product on a customer. They're there to help their customers figure out whatever the best solution is. So they're a manufacturer and a distributor, and that's their very strong point of view. Don't be afraid to have a strong point of view and talk about it. And I think along with that, tell stories. It's so important to leverage those, David talked about tribal knowledge. There are people in these companies that have been with the company for 20 plus years that have deep tribal knowledge. And these are usually engineers who want nothing to do with being in front of a Zoom call like this and talking. But how can we leverage that tribal knowledge and get them to share their stories, their experiences, how they've done it, how they've been successful, and getting that out there and in front is a really nice, easy way for manufacturers to stand out. So so I'm super excited about this topic. It couldn't be more important right now. I think it's going to be huge in the years to come for brands to continue to double down on this, especially.
I think that you make a really good point about authenticity, just because a lot of times when you're working as a thought leader within a company, it has to be vetted through like 3 layers of marketing before it can ever see the light of day. And by then it becomes this homogenized. It reads like it's from an AI bot. So a big part of having an authentic voice is making sure that you can kind of get it out there without having all the red tape, cut all the cool stuff out. I understand that you don't want to give away anything proprietary, but people are smart when they're reading something that is just general and basic and not a good story, not authentic. They see through that, and then kind of you lose their trust from the beginning.
Yeah. All right. That's all
Absolutely.
right. Fantastic point, David. What we're going to do again, guys, if you just joined us, I think Katie just joined us. Katie, happy Tuesday. Drop your LinkedIn in the chat. Next, if you have any questions whatsoever, please let's keep the conversation going. We want this to be as fruitful, beneficial for everybody here possible. What I'm going to do is we're going to turn over to our friend Allison. Allison, I want to take a look. I'm going to pull up Manufacturing Masters, and I want to hit this for two reasons. I want to just kind of walk through on like how you guys attracted such amazing, incredible talent as subject matter experts, and I also want to like slide in for our folks here in the audience. How is this applicable to them? How could they create, like anybody could do this, right? And well, not quite what Darren Mitchell did. That might be a little excessive, but you get the idea of like putting this together. Then David, I'm gonna turn things over to you as soon as Allison's done. And I know you've got a few things that you want to share. So let's go on hey, follow me. We're gonna go on a little road trip here. So Allison, talk for anybody that's not familiar with Manufacturing Masters, but just talk like how you guys pulled this off is just really phenomenal, Nicole, right? That's my word. So how did you guys pull this off?
Why Darren Mitchell gets all the credit. I am just an expert on the platform, and I'm also a brand ambassador. And felt my company also created the name and helped build the brand. But and as a brand ambassador, I get to work with MEPs and associations and help them onboard all of their members. So again, I give all the credit to Darren. This is his brainchild. And the whole point of it was, as soon as he sold his business, he was just getting mobbed by manufacturers reaching out, asking questions. Hey man, what should I do with this problem or this problem? Hey, could I just hire you to come and run my business? And he said, no, I just sold my business. I don't want to run another business. And he was like, something was just gnawing at him. And he's like, I got to build a resource, like the resource he always wished he had. Mm-hmm. And that's what this is. So he just started scouring literally the globe, started in the US, and then it's just permeated, looking for experts who specialize in manufacturing and who specialize in a niche. So that's what you're looking at now. Is he's amassed, I think I was one of the first 5, and now we have about 130 carefully vetted and trusted experts. And what that means is that, like, if you want to learn about Six Sigma, Phil Rank there from Alaska, who's part of the Alaska MEP, he's brilliant. Mm-hmm. You listen to 5-minute video and it's like mind blown. Yeah. So the whole point of this whole platform is that if there's anything you think you need to know as a manufacturer, and you probably, you don't know everything, but you need to know a lot of stuff, this is the place where you can go. And the cool thing is Darren just keeps making it easier for people. It used to be, I think, $149 a month for the subscription, which this is worth millions, right? If you hired all these consultants on your own. He changed it. So now it's $199 a month, but that's for you and all of your employees.
Right.
So if you have 50 employees, everybody has access.
Hey, who's this handsome guy right here on the left? David. Hey, David, give a wave to everybody. Look at that celebrity right there. We've got Allison right here. Everybody knows Megan. Everybody knows our friend Christina Harrington, of course. So again, what the point here is that, being that collaborator, being the connector, being the shining the bright light on all these other subject matter experts, like I'm never the smartest guy in the room, nor do I ever want to be the smartest guy in the room, unless I'm playing poker with my buddies, but I quit playing poker, Nicole. So anyway, you never want to be the smartest guy in the room. And what's going on here is just like being that collaborator and just building this community. I think it's absolutely brilliant. David, I'm coming at you, dude. I'm going to stop sharing, and there we go. Do you want to share, and do you have a couple of things that you wanted to point out? You guys have a ton going on at manufacturing.net. Can you share?
Yeah. So I just had a couple of examples of sort of low entry Q&A stuff that we did to help people with a little bit of thought leadership. Can you pull Curt's up first? Okay. So the first one that Eric is going to pull up is a Q&A that we actually did with a content partner. I've been working on this thought leadership series with the people at ThomasNet, or Thomas now, for a while. And or is it not letting you share? Oh, gotcha. Maybe send those links to him in the chat.
Yeah,
But-
drop in the chat. I'll pull it up.
Okay. The Curt one first. So this is just, I mean, I figured since Curt was going to be our wonderful host today, that I would share the one that we worked together about e-commerce strategies that are working for manufacturers. You know, it was a pretty painless process. I asked Curt, you know, that I was looking for something on e-commerce, that I was doing this thought leadership series, kind of just sent over a handful of questions. He responded to them relatively quickly, and we were able to publish this piece all within a week's time. And this went out to their entire list for Thomas Industry Insights that goes out to, you know, tens of thousands of people every day. So this was just, and we have another example of a Q&A, the Luna one, that I did with another friend from the industry, David Luna, who's the Vice President of Global Distribution and International Sales at Orion Fans. Basically, you try and figure out what the person is an expert in terms of the subject matter. As you know, using our experience in the industry, we kind of try to give, you know, 3 to 5 questions that are kind of really in the weeds in terms of helping people out with what's going on in the industry. This piece with Luna was really good just because it's talking about how OEMs have been leaning on components makers more than ever, just because OEMs are so tight in terms of bandwidth that they need the engineering services at these component makers, and how important it is to have those in-house. So this was something that I kind of just reached out to David over LinkedIn and said, hey, I'm looking for a simple Q&A about this topic. Here are the questions. Filled them out to me. And again, it was like a 1-week turn. Finally, we do a lot of video here. It's kind of what we're known for in industrial media. So the other example that I have is actually the 5 Minutes With series that we talk about. This one in particular was hosted by my coworker, Andy Zoll. We do a lot with our brand Industrial Distribution and Manufacturing.net. This one in particular is with the CFO of Fastenal. We kind of take the same Q&A format and bring it down to just 2 or 3 questions, 5 minutes, very concise. The hottest topics that are, you know, happening in each particular industry. We record it via Zoom. Eric, our producer, does a great job producing a very professional video that goes, and then it's posted on our site, goes out to everyone in our readership for ID, which I think is like 30,000. So I just wanted to bring up these examples just because I think when people think thought leadership, they think a lot of time investment. And this is something that not only is pretty simple, it also gets past the eyes of like 3 or 4 editors. So we make sure everything sounds clean. And then if the video thing is pretty cool too, because that also is also very shareable. I mean, I always like my examples not to work, so it's good. I promise you this video does play. Oh, just hit play, Curt. Oh, see? Yeah, there's the video. But you know,
You want the sound on? David, do you want the sound on?
no. There's Andy. Man, what a handsome man.
What a man. Good thing my wife's on here.
But you know, so just encouraging everybody that's watching today or watching this on demand that, you know, there are a lot of opportunities, particularly with publishing companies. If you reach out, say, hey, I'm an expert in AI. I'm an expert in automation. I'm looking to do a simple Q&A. Would you like to work together? You know, it goes both ways. I do that a lot as an editor as well, reaching out to people that we have in terms of our industry contacts, making sure that we offer this type of content on a regular basis. And it's pretty popular, not only the day of in our daily newsletters, but this is the type of content that really helps you in terms of SEO and bringing people to the site, because they're asking questions like how you can use an OEM for design services, stuff like that.
All right. Absolutely love this. Nicole, you're salivating at all this juicy content, are you not?
I love it. Great content like this just gets me so excited.
So let's go here. So Nicole, you've been working with a number of manufacturers, and again, our target market, for those of you that come to my workshops, we call those ICPs, those avatars, those ideal customers. Val, Weber, what do we call them? Our soulmates, right? So as you're targeting those soulmates, like who we're really targeting are that 20, 30 person manufacturer, custom manufacturer, contract manufacturer, or the OEM, where they don't have a lot of bandwidth. and maybe there's a person in marketing, or maybe it's the owner, or maybe the HR person is slash HR marketing benefits and 80 other jobs that they're doing. So the thing is, Nicole, as you're working with folks, you're trying to help them become that subject or pull out that subject matter expertise. I'm going to go to a couple different examples here. Let's start with, how about Styco? Man, we just did a great, we did a fun interview. They came on, for those of you who know my partner, co-host Damon, we do a little LinkedIn live show. Probably half of you have been a guest on that program at one point or the other. And what we did is we did a really fun case study on Friday with this company right here on how this is a company that was founded in 1967 and they just launched e-commerce. So Nicole, just walk us through the process of like how you're getting great content from this company.
Yeah, so we do, you're absolutely right. These companies, usually they may have a marketing team of one who's wearing a lot of hats and they need support. And it may be the first time that they've ever even jumped into doing any sort of marketing, content marketing. Thought leadership is just, way like, that's not, it's really far out for them to be thinking about. So what we like to do is try to see if we can leverage their internal subject matter experts. And this process came about through trial and error, as most things do. When I was working in-house for a manufacturer, I was really struggling to create new content until we came up with this approach of interviewing the subject matter expert, the engineer on the team who had been in the industry for many, many years. And so basically what we do is we schedule these 1-hour interviews with that subject matter expert. We have a specific topic that we interview them on that they know in advance. There's usually several questions that we'll ask them. And then we record that conversation with them. And we have them tell stories, share experiences of how they've specifically applied whatever this topic is for their customers. And so it's really like directly from their point of view, from their experience. And that's what we're doing here with Styco, with this other client of ours, Airtight. There's a lovely client in Australia that we love to work with. And so that's really what we're doing. We want them to get on, share their point of view, tell stories, and we are able to create a month's worth of content from that 1 hour. And so for these teams that are just like really strapped for time, the last thing they have time to do is sit down and write, a 20-page, white paper. They just don't have the resources to do that. And I think to David's point earlier, it doesn't have to be this, thought leadership doesn't need to be this big, complicated process. It's how can you get scrappy? Can you get resourceful and use the people that you already have and make it as simple as possible for them. So they're just having a conversation. You're just asking them questions and they're literally just sharing what they know and what they tell their customers all day, every day, every day of the week. And then leveraging that to turn it into video content and blog content and social media content that is really great for SEO. And I think the really cool thing that Styco that we did last Friday that I think anybody can be thinking about, and especially going forward, that's going to be even more important, that will take your leadership to the next level. How can you partner with, other groups, agencies like David Manti, like Allison Ford, like we're doing right here, partnering with these other experts so that you can increase your reach, increase your exposure, and increase your credibility, and just continue to increase your reputation in the industry by positioning yourself with these other partners and putting on live events like this live event you did last Friday. And this example, I think, is great because they're telling the story of their own experience going through digital transformation. So as a business, you don't need to be looking for these like big fancy topics or ideas. It's like, what are you doing right now in your business? That's important. That's relevant. Going through a big digital transformation like this, that's a story you can tell to talk about what it was like for you and how the experience has been. And other people want to hear about those kinds of experiences. So I think this is just a tremendous example of where the future and what the future is going to be for manufacturers that are going to really be successful in getting their brand out there.
Yeah, great. Man, thank you for the plug. And Gary, I think I saw a note that I know you were there Friday. And so this was a great example, guys. And so like this gentleman in the bottom right corner, he's with an e-commerce firm out of Portland, Oregon called Above the Fray. This gentleman here is with, his name is Lance. He's with a company called BigCommerce. So probably everybody here, I would assume, is maybe you've heard of the company Shopify. Well, BigCommerce would be, I don't know, if we're going to say if Shopify's McDonald's, they're like Five Guys or Wendy's or whatever your other favorite burger joint is. So they're striving to be the number one B2B e-commerce platform. So the cool thing is we've got, Nicole from DMG, we've got John from Above the Fray, we've got Lance from BigCommerce. This is Ryan. Ryan's with Allison, who do we love? Those MEPs. Julie Warner's here today from the Purdue MEP from your home state of Indiana. And so Ryan is with Insight Consulting, which is one of the New York MEPs. And so what we did is we aligned the manufacturer with an MEP, and they wanted to make this digital transformation. And it was just a great collaboration, great win-win for everybody. And so what this was a celebration. Now, David Manti mentioned SEO. Let me throw in my SEO hat for a second. What we're doing is we're very intentionally for many of you that have popped in or been guests, thank you for being guests on our live program. We're using our titles for our live show now for SEO juice. And so now we're like strategically trying to use like specific titles to capture those SEO rankings. So Allison, I'm coming back at you, my friend. You ready? Are you sitting down? Are you ready for this one? All right. You are the brand guru. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing. Let's see Allison's beautiful face. Allison, you are the branding guru from a felt marketing standpoint, working with your clients, manufacturing masters. How do we tie in that thought leadership, out teaching the competition? How can we incorporate that and just really marry that with our brand? What 2 cents could you contribute to that question there? How do we take it from a branding standpoint?
Well, you're going to limit me to 2 cents. Okay. I'm going to have to cut it down really.
You know what? You go for it, man. You lay it on us. We're looking for some Allison brilliance. I'm
a lot like Nicole and I'm sure David. There's been a lot of trial and error. So I always say I'm the test dummy. My company is the test dummy. So if we haven't tried it, or we wouldn't eat it or serve it to, Oprah, if she came to dinner, I'm certainly not going to serve it to you. So what I have found and what we help clients do is create a system. And with everything that Nicole said and with David said, it all ties together. And I think what I see happen a lot, and I know you guys do too, is the majority of manufacturers are small and they don't feel like they have the bandwidth to do all this thought leadership, all this marketing. It feels overwhelming. And so what I would like to share with manufacturers is you can take these, like what Nicole said was brilliant. You spend an hour interviewing somebody on your team. You hire someone like Nicole or myself to interview for 1 hour. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do anything. That person's having a good time talking about themselves and all the good stuff they know. And then, like she just said, you've got a month's worth of content. I want everybody to hear that she said that. Mm-hmm. Well, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. Well, I think old school was we would take the interview and we would have published it on our website. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Mm-hmm. Now what you can do is you can take the one piece and then you start breaking it off, right, into an e-newsletter that you send out it doesn't have to be every week, right? Like we send ours out every other Sunday. And then you can also turn that into a blog post, which is on your website. You can turn it into social posts, multiple social posts that you don't just post once. You post and have it scheduled to post again. Because I tell clients a lot, they go, oh, we already used that image in a post. I said, you have to be kidding me. And they go, what? And I said, you have to assume nobody saw it, right? Just because it popped up on their feed one time, just assume they never saw it. So you got to show it again and again and again. So that's the consistency. But see, you've got this one thing, and then think of it like spokes. You've just created all this content, or you've had it created for you from a 1 hour interview. So that's essential. And I think the other important thing I want to share in my more than 2 cents is speak like a human and not a robot. And I think the most beloved brands, that's why we talk about, they're not just seen and heard, they're felt. Well, what does that mean? They're making an emotional connection with you. Right? Like Gerber knives is one of I swear to God, I wish I would have come up with this, but a number of years ago, they came up with the campaign, Hello, Trouble, right? And they were talking to you, adventurer, right? The trailblazer. You may be some nerd who works in a cubicle. No offense, anyone. We've all worked in cubicles, but go with me. right? Like you're just this, and you do whatever you do all day, but you really want to be like Indiana Jones. So they're talking to you as if, right? I think that's the important thing about using your voice. And, you know, I think the more it sounds like there's a sense of humor, like she said, there's a point of view, that's what attracts people, because people don't make decisions based on facts and figures and their left brain. They make decisions with the right side of their brain, emotional. So if I can preach one thing, it's make it human, make it personal. Don't be afraid to do that.
Okay.
Drop the mic, Curt.
Okay. I'm inviting. All right. So in the Eastern time zone, it's lunchtime. So I'm just inviting everybody. If you come to our Friday show, you know, we have like those savoring moments of silence right there. You know, Nicole, you ever go to grandma's house on a Sunday afternoon and like get that home cooked? And it's just like, it was just so delicious. Like it didn't matter what grandma made. It just had a little extra, like that was like a home cooked meal from grandma right there, Allison. So thank you very much. If anything, if you guys don't do another thing today, I invite you, I encourage you, I welcome you. I am begging you, and you will thank me later. I dropped Allison's website in the chat. Please, please, please sign up for her newsletter. Now, there is a warning when you sign up for her newsletter. It comes out every other Sunday, and you cannot be near your keyboard or don't have a drink near your keyboard, because if you're drinking while you're reading Allison's newsletter, your drink is going to go on your keyboard and it might ruin your computer. Then you'll be mad. So no drinks, or cover your keyboard. David Manti, I'm coming at you, my friend.
Bring it,
Thought
Curt.
leadership, any other take us on the next step here. Like I'm at a loss of words for Allison right now, but take us on the next step. Yeah, you get it. Take us on the next step, more strategies, branding, take us to the next level here.
So the next step for me is when you're talking about, is it the company Styco, our interview that you did there, and you get months worth of content. And I understand using that all for your own purposes, but you could also kind of harvest that content for stuff that can be published with trade publications. You know, you don't necessarily need publishers. There's a lot of people self-publishing content all over the internet right now, but trade publishing really helps with your credibility. Just because, you know, you can publish whatever you want on social media, but if it's been vetted by a team of editors and then put out into the industry, there's a little bit more credibility there. So as you're interviewing these subject matter experts, and you're kind of pulling out these gems, just be like, you know what, this would be really good for a potential Q&A with this publication. This would be best suited for the MRO audience. This would be best suited for a more general manufacturing audience. And then you can approach the editor and just be like, hey, I interviewed this engineer at this company and he said this, it's incredible. And I understand how when you're talking to these people internally, not only do they not think that, you know, people don't want to hear their story, but they also don't want to talk about it. I think about this all the time. We have like a monthly card game that I play with a bunch of old school manufacturers, and all of them are just war stories. It's just like, yeah, then I crashed the machine. I'm pretty sure I was going to burn down the place, but I learned a valuable lesson. I'm like, everyone should know this. They're just like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. Like it's that kind of stuff where it's like, you need to share these stories so that way we could all learn from each other. It's very similar to how all these, you know, they're all owners of different manufacturing shops, plant managers, and they're all just like, oh yeah, I've done that too. And they are learning from each other at the table. I'm like, this is why you need to share your war stories, guys. So we stop crashing these $1 million machines. So, and I do like the idea of the trying and failing, because that's one of the things that we've always been great at, is that if you have an idea, run with it, and you're going to know whether or not it worked before a lot of companies are even out of the gate. Just because, you know, when it comes to putting yourself out there, doing something new, you know, a lot of people drag their feet. They feel vulnerable. It's can be scary, but, you know, it's worth taking a risk, and, you know, you'll figure out what works. Maybe not the first time, but you'll find your voice.
Okay, David, we can't move past that just yet. Okay, trade magazines. I couldn't love that idea more. I had a small wire harness manufacturer, and so what did they do? They were blogging. They knocked on a door for wire harness manufacturing news, who knew that there was such a thing as wire harness manufacturing news, or whatever that little publication was. And sure enough, they got a nice little you know, article. They need content. Yeah. They need content. And for anybody that's gone through our little, you know, training, I'm going to throw my SEO hat. Chris Watson. We just had a little, I think Chris is here today, Nicole. I think I just let him in. And so we were just talking about backlinks last week, guys. If you come to our little training sessions, you know how important those backlinks are. David, let's take it one step further. Okay. So if there's a manufacturer out there and they're like, David, man, you kind of perked me up. So Dave, I'm gonna hit you with a couple of things. I know you're looking for content. You've put that out to me like, hey, we're looking for content. How would somebody approach a periodical, a trade magazine, an online magazine? How would they go about that? What's a 101 for them to go through that process?
No, you're right. We are content hungry. We have like 26 newsletters. Some of them have 14 pieces of content in there every day. So we're very content hungry. The things that work that I like to talk about is to establish a relationship with that editor. Curt, I like working with you because you have an established level of quality that I understand and expect from you, because that's what you deliver. If you want to reach out to a trade publication, I would suggest reaching out via email to make an introduction at first. Reach out via LinkedIn. I find that helps me. Having like 2 points of contact with an individual really helps kind of put them at the top of the stack when it comes to an inbox that's, kind of flooding in with hundreds of emails. Half are from fake people. But it really speaks to creating that relationship with them. And there's a big potential there at trade shows as well. If editors are going to be at trade shows, get them in your booth, invite them to see your products, your services, your tools. Like, it really helps build that foundation that you can build off of.
I love that. So, let's slide into the next topic, next conversation, Nicole. I think all three of our esteemed panelists here, when I say the word podcast, do you guys have any experience here podcasting? I know, Nicole, you're a newbie, but not only are you a newbie, you're doing it yourself. You are also encouraging clients. And I think Chris Watson here, you're at US Air Filtration. They started podcasting. Talk about what podcasting has done for you and why it's just such a great platform for manufacturers.
Yes, great question. I started podcasting in January, so I am definitely a newbie, and I absolutely love it for many reasons. Number one, as a company, it's a great way for you to build relationships with your potential prospects and customers. So, as a podcaster, I'm constantly looking for guests for my podcast, right? And so for manufacturers out there, podcast is a great way if you're trying to build relationships. It's not salesy, it's not icky. It's a great way to just start to have a conversation and learn more about your prospects that you're trying to do business with in a way that is just very authentic. And we talked earlier about how important authenticity is, right? Going forward, authenticity is huge. So podcasting is just a really authentic way for you to start those conversations in a way that doesn't feel like pressure to them. And it's also customer research. By creating a podcast where you're interviewing your customers, you're learning a ton of information about what their problems are, what their pain points are, what are the issues they're having in their manufacturing facility, what is labor like, what supply chain problems happening. And so as a company, it just allows you to really be on the front end of being able to innovate really, really well, because you're staying so close to what's happening in the market and you're really trying to understand and be curious about it. So I would say for manufacturers, the other thing someone asked me the other day, what has been the biggest benefit to you since you started podcasting? I have learned so much. So I learned a tremendous amount from every person who comes on my show. I can't tell you, I walk away from every interview just feeling like, sheesh, like 10 times more, humble, to be honest, because these people that I interview just have amazing experiences, and it just humbles me in an incredible way. And for me, humility equals growth. So I just love it. It's just a great way for me to grow as a person. And so as an organization, I think it's a great thing for any manufacturer to be thinking about. We started podcasting with one of our clients. And I think for manufacturers who are just kind of like getting started with content, you got to phase this out, right? So if you haven't started blogging yet or doing video, you got to start there first, right? Start with what's easiest. Don't bite off the whole elephant first. Once you've started to, once you have kind of a consistent, content marketing schedule where you're regularly putting out new, fresh blog content and video content, now it might be time for you to take it to the next level and really try to invest in some sort of a live event type of platform like a podcast. And it doesn't have to be a video podcast. This client of ours is, they don't like to be in front of the camera. They'd much more comfortable, if you will, just doing audio. And so it doesn't need to be this, video format. It can be audio, and that works really, really well. So don't get overwhelmed thinking you've got to, be like Oprah, right? And the other thing I would say that I think is really important is we see this with our clients a lot. And a lot of times when they're new to something, and this is true for myself, when you're new, it is really hard to push that publish button for the first time. It's scary. You're putting yourself out there in a new way. And it can be really scary for our clients and for our manufacturers to do that. And my advice is, it's not going to be perfect. Just hit publish. You've got to get it out there. Speed is more important than having it be perfect. I mean, I can tell you, like the podcast episodes that I've done, I look back 3 episodes back and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm mortified. Like my lighting is wrong. My mic isn't right. But you know what? I put it out anyway, and I'm not going to take it down. I just take it and I say, you know what? Next time I'm going to make sure my lighting's right. And I'm going to, the next time I'm going to do it better. So you just have to let go of this need for it to be perfect and for every word to be perfect. And if it's not perfect, I can't publish it. Just publish it. You can always get better later, right? So that's my advice. And it's true for any piece of content as a manufacturer putting out blog, video. Don't be afraid to hit publish, because you can optimize it, and speed is more important than perfection.
If I could add something
Please,
to
David.
that. When it comes to podcasting, we do a lot of that here, and I've been impressed with the level of engagement. And when you talk about building a relationship, you're really building like an intimate relationship with people that is stronger than any other kind of content that we've produced.
Yes.
And you make a good point about it's not going to be perfect. I mean, there are videos of me on YouTube from 15 years ago, and don't get me wrong, I wish they weren't there, but it shows, like, I think that when you have, our Today in Manufacturing podcast is on episode 115, right?
Yep.
But what I like is when we get a new viewer or listener, and they join the podcast at 115, and then they like it so much they go back and they listen to all the old episodes, and then they email and they're like, man, you guys really found yourself around episode 45. It's like, yeah, you know what? We started a podcast in a pandemic. We were figuring it out, man. But I think it's part of that relationship building, because they grow with you as you evolve on the platform.
Right. And
Yeah,
look
I
at
love
all these
that.
juicy topics, man. Gummy bears. And David, you guys come up with the best subjects. I absolutely love this.
Well,
Allison, go ahead, David.
Today in Manufacturing, we legitimately take the 5 biggest stories in the manufacturing industry every week, and that's what we kind of give an in-depth analysis on the implications they have on the industry going forward. I think that's why that podcast has seen so much success, and honestly, why we've learned so much more about the podcast too, because all of a sudden we're like, so this machine we never heard of was smuggled into Russia to make nuclear weapons, and we need to talk about that for 7 minutes. Hit the books. Like
Hit the books. That is classic. I tell you, some of the topics that you guys cover are just phenomenal. Just absolutely love it. And you and your team have done a fantastic job. And David, what inspired you to go this direction?
Honestly, we have a very talented editorial staff, and we do a lot of individual video, right? Where it's just one person hosting a video that's very short form. I've always wanted to try and figure out a way that we could get our editors doing a roundtable. And at first I thought it would be more of like a webinar style format where we would come in, be panelists, and kind of just talk about it. That idea evolved into more of a podcast format, just because part of it was I was like, okay, I like this idea. I'm also listening to more podcasts than I am any sort of other radio, satellite, or over the air. So let's try doing a podcast. And, we kind of took a flyer. But not only do we have the Today in Manufacturing podcast, which has 115 episodes and is one of the more popular ones in the industry now, subscribe below. But it's also bred, we're doing more vertical podcasts too. So, Jeff Ranke hosts the Security Breach, which focuses on the incredible cybersecurity vulnerabilities in the manufacturing industry. It's kind of like, hey, let's talk about what nobody in the industry wants to talk about, but we're kind of all vulnerable, to attacks. That one is, I don't know what episode they're on. They're like in their 40s, I think. And then the other one, Nicole, you had mentioned about how you learn so much. So we created the publication Cannabis Equipment News about 5 years ago. We started a podcast for that, and it has been invaluable in terms of gaining industry insights, not just for myself, but all the readers and listeners as well. Just because when you have a regular podcast, and you need to be consistent, when you're doing those types of 1 hour in-depth interviews, you learn so much more about the industry. It's like a crash course every interview.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, all right. So guys, I dropped manufacturing.net. I dropped a podcast. You dropped the cannabis equipment news in the chat box. Allison, I'm going to come at you now. You, as a matter of fact, and I want to drop, I don't know if you already did, I'll do it as well. Manufacturing Masters. I want to drop that in the chat box for everybody to check out. You know a thing or two about podcasting. Any advice, suggestions for folks that are considering going that route, whether a manufacturer or what's your experience on podcasting?
Well, a lot. Again, it was baptism by fire. I started MFG Out Loud in, I think it was February or March of 2020. And then the pandemic hit and we were like, oh, okay. So I think what I've learned is you worry a lot in the beginning of, like Nicole was saying, what is my lighting? These things are important, by the way, but what do I sound like? What do I look like? And I think the thing that I quickly learned is that no one gives a shit about you. It's your guest, right? You're giving the guest is the person that you're celebrating, that you're shedding light on, that you're learning from. So just show up and ask good questions and do your homework. I think that's the most important thing you can do as a podcast host. And I think the other thing that I've learned is, I get asked a lot, okay, if you're a small manufacturer and you say, I don't have anybody here that has time to do a podcast. You're telling me to do this. So my suggestion is reach out to be on other people's podcasts. I think that's incredibly important. Reach out to someone like David and say, I would like to be on some podcasts, but I'm not sure where to start. David, it can lead you. I have no doubt that he will get you on the right track and get you booked with some different wherever would be appropriate. So, and it doesn't have to take an hour. Like we've turned the MFG Out Loud podcast. I say it's getting a glow up because it's going to become the Manufacturing Masters podcast. Nice. We're going to be launching in the next month. And I think the thing that's so cool is it's also like a networking vehicle in a world where, I don't know about you guys, I don't like networking. It makes me like cringe. And so it said the marketer who is supposed to be outgoing. But no, I really don't. And it's more comfortable for me to just network with these people. And then that's how I met Darren, was inviting him on our podcast. So it's just these amazing relationships happen. And then you've invited me and and then Nicole and I meet, and then I get to meet David. It's genius, And so I'd say, Curt wrote a book. I'm sure everybody has read it. And if you haven't, you must. Stop the Best Kept Secret. Oh, there it is. And you know why you're the best kept secret if you're a manufacturer and you're small? It's because you're hiding or you're whispering. Nobody can hear you. Nobody can find you. And it's scary, right? I remember, Nicole, the first time I pushed publish on my blog, Confessions of a Professional Mom, which I haven't kept up, but it's still just remembering the first day that I had to push publish literally was frozen. And as soon as you push publish, it's like, is anybody going to read it? It doesn't matter. What matters is the experience of creating the content. So this is the advice I would give to small manufacturers. If, let's say, you don't have a marketing person, just experience creating the content and put it out into the world, and you will be amazed. You're not trying to talk to everyone. You're trying to build a relationship with someone. So if one person shows up to your webinar, that one person could change your life. You never know. So I think that's the biggest thing I've learned is it's not about the numbers. It's about the quality and the consistency and the doing it with heart.
Moment of silence.
So true. I mean, it's so true. I think about the first LinkedIn post that I posted. I was terrified. It
Yeah.
was probably, I think it was 2 years ago. I was terrified. And I'm so glad that I did it. I would have never met Curt Anderson, who has just been such an incredible mentor and partner for me. And so there are people out there that you don't even know need your help. And they're missing out on you and what you can offer because you're being the best kept secret.
And something really quick, I'm sorry.
No,
No, you're
please.
You triggered a thought, and I think that this is something most people don't know is, and somebody correct me if this is wrong, but this is the last statistic I heard. 95% of the content on LinkedIn, for example, is created by 5% of the people that are on the platform. So here's the real opportunity that you need to be aware of. If you look around and go, oh, there's a million podcasts, there's a million blogs, nobody needs to hear what I have to say.
Mhm.
Yes, I can tell you for a fact that you will be in the majority, the tiny majority, and most of your competitors are not active. Most of them are not actively marketing. They are not showing up on podcasts. They don't have a podcast. They don't write a blog. They don't have somebody interview their engineer and create 30 pieces of content from that. They're not putting themselves out there, which is why they're the best kept secret. So I'm glad you said that, Nicole, because it made me think, jump, trust me, the net will appear.
Yep.
How much time do you recommend manufacturers spend on social media? Just because I understand that to some, it seems like a full-time job. I mean, when you share that stat, that 95% of the content is created by 5% of the people, man, do I believe that. But, I mean, so what's the sort of, the sweet spot there where it's like, you can do a post a week, or is it a post a day? Or is it, I mean, I see people with the multiple posts a day and I'm just like, I mean, you do other things, right? With your day.
Right. How are you getting the rest of your work done?
Yeah, there's more work, right?
Yeah.
So I'll just chime in real quick, David. Would I strongly recommend, it's like going to the gym. It's like maybe reading a book. It's like, if you're, yoga zone, being mindful, just, Allison, we talk about that, just kind of being with yourself or whatever it is that, to capture that peace of mind, man, 15 minutes. Go to the gym for 15 minutes. Well, you know what? Get on LinkedIn, get on social media, do a YouTube video, do 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes a day. It's an hour and 15 minutes a week. That's it. It's 75 minutes out of 168 hours. If you put in 15 minutes a day, you are going to, you meet somebody like Allison DeFord, and Allison, you and I could do a whole jam session just on when you and I met, I have, as a matter of fact, my favorite quote is in this book, and Allison and I have a quote in my book. We had never met. And so, so I could go on and on. So anyway, I want to be mindful of everybody's time as we're coming into time. David, I would love to give you last word. Could you please take us home? This was your brainchild today. This was, but before we cut out, if you guys have been, what are we at? We're at 54 minutes after the hour. If you've been sitting down the entire time, what I encourage you, what I invite you, I welcome you. If you want to, it's a great time to stand up and stretch. How about, let's give our wonderful panelists a big round of applause for sharing their passion, their expertise, their truth. Man, this was fire, pure fire. But David, could you take us home and just parting thoughts that for everybody to leave with as far as thought leadership for manufacturers?
Thought leadership is vital for manufacturers, and it's very easy to do. The hardest step, as everyone has kind of said on this panel, is just getting started. And as Curt alluded to, you could start with 15 minutes a day. There are many great people in this industry that can help you along that journey. Allison, Nicole, myself are all great places to start. And we could all help spread the good word about manufacturing and help particularly small and mid-sized manufacturers boost their profile a little bit. Even if you have a small staff of under 10 people, you probably have 8 in there that have an incredible wealth of knowledge that should be shared with the rest of the industry. I mean, we're not talking anything proprietary here. We're just the things they learn, best practices, how they do their job well, and how you could do your job better. So, we're here to help. We're here to be the tools. Use us.
We're here to use the tools. So guys, we'll wind down. We're coming in. I want to be mindful of everybody's time. We're coming in the top of the hour. Number one, how about it? Let's go through our panelists again. Big round of applause for Allison DeFord, Manufacturing Masters, Felt Marketing. Please sign up for her newsletter. And next Sunday, you will be thanking me for that invite. And it is, again, warning, no drinks around your keyboard because that will be problematic. Nicole Donnelly, thank you for joining us today, Nicole. Appreciate you more than we know. You're sharing your passion, your truth. David, my brother, thank you so much. We're going to do this again. We're going to come up with some more fun topics for you guys. We appreciate, hey, now about our panelists, let's give a round of applause for our guests today. So thank you guys. I know how busy you are. We never take this for granted, man. We come in to give 110% to you guys. We want, we're here for manufacturer. We're just all like geeky, just passionate about making manufacturing great. And so we appreciate you. Share this with friends. I'm going to have the replay. I'm going to share, put the replay out to everybody. So if you have any questions, if you have a piece of content you want to put out and you want to get it into David's hands, David has his LinkedIn in the chat box, or connect with him afterwards. He would love to hear from you. Connect with Nicole, connect with Allison. And of course, I would love to connect with you as well. So guys, we're going to wind down. If you have any questions, you know where to find us. Thank you. God bless. Appreciate you guys. And we will see you at the next jam session.
Thank you, Curt.
Bye. Thanks, Curt.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, David. Thank you, Nicole.
Sorry that
Thank
I
you,
called us
Allison.
tools.
Thank you, Gwen. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Ingor. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Valerie. Who else? Derek DD. Thank you, dude. Who else? Diane Byer. And I know everybody else cut out. So, all right, guys, have a wonderful day. David, I'm going to connect. I do have a write-up for you on that Styco. So I'm going to send that to you. Yeah,
All
it's
right.
we have a really juicy write-up for you. So I'm going to send that over to you.
Perfect. I look forward to reading it.
All right, dude. Let's connect in a week or two, and we'll figure out more jam sessions. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Bye.
Later, Curt. Bye, guys.